This is the Milo Beasley Show. This is the Milo Beasley Show. There's only one thing you need to know. This is the Milo Beasley Show. And now, here's your host, Milo Beasley.
And welcome to the Milo Beasley Show. I'm so excited for our guest today. I haven't seen him in many moons. So please help me welcome at this time. Please, I know I can get this name right. Please help me welcome comic book artist and independent professional wrestler, Andy Belanger. How you doing, man?
Oh my God. Amazing. Yeah. Things are like freaking awesome. This is all of a sudden, like around April, May hit and things just like went like off the rails. Amazing. In everything, in comics and wrestling and like everything. And I had a really cool year doing both, despite the pandemic. Like we weren't allowed to do anything. We can't come to the States to wrestle.
Right.
We could, like, a lot of time we can't have matches. We can't have shows. Like the shows are just starting now, like after 15 months.
Man, so are you still not able to come to the States?
I get my second vax next week. Because we're way behind in the vaxes. Like,
right.
It was really bad for a while there, but then it kind of like caught up. So like my second one's next week, and then I could come. Yeah, for sure.
So yeah. I mean, I know right before the pandemic, you were starting to really kill it as well as far as wrestling goes, and then all that came to a grinding halt.
Yeah, totally. I was like 1 month away from a huge match with Josh Alexander. And I was animation deadline for 3 months for Behavior, doing Dead by Daylight, animating my ass off. So from like, I was like 18 hours a day, 7 days a week from January to the end of March. And I was facing Josh at the end of March. And I like straight up wasn't ready. Like was not ready. Like he would have like just like killed me. It would have been really ugly murder in the ring where Josh would have just like manhandled, like it would have been a rag doll. It would have been gross. But over, like, if we're talking about wrestling in the pandemic, when we were allowed, right after that animation gig, I got like really out of shape, and like a lot of wrestlers right now, like everyone's super rusty. Everyone got out of shape. And then it was like 2 months, and I think it was around May. They had one day where they were training, and Speedball Mike Bailey was there, and he's like, "Do you want to train like in privates? Because I know you can't come like certain times." And I was like,
right.
Yeah, I have been training with Speedball the entire time, like doing like 1 or 2 matches against Speedball almost every week. Like
that's fantastic.
That guy's a ninja. Like he's like a legit like Spider-Man. Like that guy. That guy's crazy. So yeah, I get kicked in the face like 4 or 5 times a week. It's really fun.
I mean, you know, when you haven't been kicked in the face for like 15 months, then you know, 4 or 5 times a week is, you know.
Yeah. So now it's different. Like totally different. We went in, I went in with training with him, just like, let's start from, you know, everyone's like not allowed to wrestle for like a long time. Let's just start from scratch. And
right.
The stuff we're doing now is like, he was in Japan for DDT for like a couple years. So he just taught me like how they do it over there. And that's how I've been wrestling, is like very Japanese style matches. So there's a lot to it.
That's awesome. So who were before you started wrestling, who were some of your inspirations? Like
as pro wrestlers?
Yes.
Thunder Liger's like my favorite wrestler ever. Like, obviously, like I'm obsessed with Thunder Liger. He's the coolest ever. Just love him to death. You know, and then like I think my Macho, how do you not love Macho Man Randy Savage?
Right.
And I mean, like I came up with some cool people. Like, so IWS was where, you know, Kevin Steen and you know, El Generico, Sami Zayn are from. I wrestle all the guys that they came up with, like Green Phantom and PCP Crazy Manny and Sexy Eddie, and those guys are the guys that I wrestle all the time. And Speedball, and Shane Hawk is the guy who got me from Chikara, is the guy who actually got me. He's like my best friend. And get him into making comic books. So we had a contract with WWE, and Boom Studios, and we did 5 or 6 like comics for WWE, and I got Andrew just writing them because the guy's like an encyclopedia for like wrestling knowledge, and he loves comics, and he's a fantastic writer. So I got him in there doing all the writing, and I did the art. And then subsequently, he's like, you need to, I think it was like 7 years ago now, he was like, you're a big guy, you should just come train. And I got so hooked on it. I'm so competitive with comic books, like to the point of it gets me sick. Like I get so negative, and like, I'm sure like everyone in wrestling gets the same way, you know, you're so hung up on like trying to get spots and shows, and you get really racked up. I get like that for comics. I would get like really nerve wracked and going crazy, and wrestling got me out of it, man. It like took my mind out of it, like got me working out like crazy, got my head out of that sort of headspace. And all I think about all day is wrestling. So it's like, while I'm making comics, I'm free to just like make comics. And it's like, I'm doing better comics than I've ever done in my life. And I would say it was around April that we just up and decided, October, I kickstarted my first comic, and we did like 30K Canadian on Mother Trucker, which is my wrestling universe and my comic universe in one comic. And from then on, like me and my buddies, we just like said, you know, let's get out of the mainstream market and like just make our own stuff and put it on Kickstarter. And we're kicking butt. I'm on my second one right now, and it's doing like really well. My buddy Carl just did like 136K Canadian on his like thing that he's been doing since 2007. So it's been wild. Wild.
That's fantastic. Before we talk about Mother Trucker, I do want to talk about, again, the WWE comic book and being able to work on that. I mean, that must have been, you must have been so giddy on that first book.
Dude, we got to tell the story of Kane and Undertaker's childhood. You know how many other people, I found out like 4 or 5 other people had pitched it, and like they gave it to us.
Oh, wow.
We're like wrestlers, and like I was like kind of like a big artist in the thing. So they were like, let's let them do it. And that was insane. Like I got to draw Kane's clothesline on Undertaker, and that's like one of my favorite drawings I've ever done. It's like that Kane clothesline.
That
so good.
That's awesome. Now do you have a stack of those the blank comic books so you can do like commissions at conventions and stuff?
Yeah, we got those. Yeah, I've got tons of stuff. Yeah, that stuff was really cool. Yeah, I ended up doing a ton of that WWE stuff. We did the Jake the Snake, Ricky Steamboat scenario where he like DDT'd him into the cement.
Like knocked him out.
Yeah, and gave him like 2 black eyes. Like, and Ricky just like, I'm gonna take this DDT into the cement face first. Like what?
Right.
What? Okay.
All right, more power to you, dude. I suppose. Do you have now with that relationship? Have you been able to go to Stanford and visit the headquarters and stuff like that?
No, there was nothing like that because there was like an intermediary like comic book publisher. Oh, that like a lot of the wrestlers got the comic books that we made because like we sent a ton of them to like Sammy, and I did a big cover of Kevin Steen that was just a portrait. Remember when he was the face of America? He's Canadian. I
do.
It's like the heel. Anyway, I did this like this shot of Kevin Owens, and he had like a American flag behind him and a giant bald eagle on his shoulder. And I ended up like sending that to him because my old trainer before Speedball was Matt Lee or Matt Martell from NXT. So like I worked with Matt for a few years, and he's like really tight with Kevin. So I got him to give it to Kevin and give him all
awesome
stuff like that. Yeah, because those guys don't come to Montreal that much and see all the boys.
Right. Especially not now. But now I do want to talk about Mother Trucker. It's an amazing thing that you've been putting out. What was the inspiration? Obviously, you said it was a mix of comics and wrestling, but Mother Trucker and the concept of the book, I guess, isn't wrestling. So, where did that come from?
Well, I got into wrestling to make like the greatest wrestling comic. basically it was like one of those things that you hear like an actor will like go work at a restaurant as a sous chef or something.
Right.
You know, and like, and then you do it and you're like, okay, I'm either going to go like 100% or just not at all, because this is not something you mess around with, you'll get hurt. So I just got really hooked on it. And like, I've been writing Mother Trucker for like 4 or 5 years now. Like the idea in my head has been there for 4 or 5 years with me writing it in the background. And, after that animation gig that I told you about, I made so much, like you make so much money animating for video game companies, and COVID hit and I wasn't getting any work in comics. There was just nothing coming in. Everything was slowing down. DC like axed like 80% of their like workforce, and it was looking grim, and the comics were looking grim. So, you know, my wife was like, it's time. Like now's the freaking time. Like you never have time to work on this thing you've been doing for 5 years, like to actually sit down and draw it. You have the money, you have the time, no one's going anywhere, just like do it. So yeah, I made that comic, and that was the thing. Like I wanted to mix all my favorite things. Like I'm a big fan of any crazy Americana kind of shit. Like I love monster trucks. I love going to monster truck rallies. I love souped up trucks like in Japan, like Dectora trucks that are all like souped up with lights. If I see like a souped up like semi truck, like an 18-wheeler, I legit like freak out. Like it's like I have to go take pictures, and like I don't know what it is. It's just like if I see big trucks or motorcycles or anything like that are souped up, I like lose my shit. So I wanted to combine Mother Trucker, and actually the story was about another guy named Big Rig that I named after Big Rig. And the story was about him being a trucker. And then I kind of was like I was living in Italy for a whole year while my wife went to school. And over there, like they got a lot of like sexy comics. So I was like, you know, and Charlotte Flair was kind of like kicking ass. And I was like, I really want to make a comic now about like a woman wrestler in a world of like men truckers, but she's, you know, She-Hulk. Right? That's where Mother Trucker came from. And yeah, she's just like this sort of like you know, lost out of time character who got blown up at the beginning and then gets like genetically enhanced. And she wants to become the sort of like champion of Truck Off. And Truck Off is a competition like WrestleMania in the Starways. So everyone in the universe, like there's no wrestling. Everyone watches like trucking, like, you know, like ice truckers. It's like truckers and pro wrestling, and like put it together. So the back of your truck, like the rig part or the back part, the cargo, like transforms like a transformer into a ring. And so if you want like the Walmart championship belt, you got to fight me for it. Right. So you can roll up on me in your truck and be like, it's on. And we have to like get it on. And like people show up in their space vehicles, and, you know, everyone just like shows up like that on the space highways and like televises it. And that's like the TV. So, you know, and there's some of them have chains and buzz saws and like, remember those Boglins from the 80s? One guy's got like actual like living turnbuckles that try to like eat you. And yeah, her whole thing is she wants to become like the champion of Truck Off. But she finds out that she like had a kid at one point, and she's sort of like trying to figure out how to like get that kid. And I play off of like all wrestling stereotypes and wrestling stories and stuff, combining that with like, you know, space wrestling comics. And you know, I had this thing, and like I've worked for every major publisher, so I pitched it to DC and Black Label. They were asking me for stuff, and I pitched it to Image and all these people. And the second they heard wrestling, they wanted nothing to do with it. Like, and I was like, do you know how big wrestling comics are in Japan? They're like huge. Like Kinnikuman's like gigantic. So yeah, no one believed in it. So I was like, I'm just gonna do it because I know my comic is gonna kick ass. And
absolutely
crushed on Kickstarter, and like started sending them out, and I'm on the second one now, and it's all named after the parts of the match, the way that, you know, you and I remember moves. The first one's called the Shine, this one's called the Cutoff, next one's going to be the Heat, so Mother Trucker's going to get in some shit in that one. And then, you know, then there's the comeback and the falsies and the, you know, the finish. It's going to be like they're also named after wrestling spots, so it's kind of like it's kind of funny.
Have you received any backlash over drawing boobs on your covers? No,
I think people just expect it from me. It's like I'm a little bit like South Park that way, where people are just like, if there's gonna be bad behavior, it's probably coming from him. So whatever. And I'm on Kickstarter, right? Like I'm not with like a major publisher, so it's kind of like whatever. And with metal going like PG to make movies and stuff, my new company, Lethal Comics, is kind of like the new place if you want to make adult material. So we're getting contracts like crazy because of it.
Oh,
that's
better than Backlash.
Yeah. Oh, it's like the company's exploding because of it. So, I just want to make comics that I read when I was a kid. You know what I mean? And when I hit 13, I quit reading Marvel and DC because they were for little kids, and I wanted to read Heavy Metal magazine. So, I mean, those are the comics that I make. And I got obsessed with all the artists and the stories in Heavy Metal magazine were normally just reprints of European, like, best of the best. Right. You know what? Your Mobius and your Moneras and your Serpiaries and all those guys. Compared to those guys, I'm tame. Like, I'm like super tame. Yeah. Yeah. You just see some boobs every once in a while. Like, those guys are like hardcore.
It happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
So are you where were you born? Are you Canadian or are you?
Yeah. I'm from outside of Toronto.
Oh, okay.
Oh God, almost 11 or 12 years ago, I moved to Montreal. And that was the thing. Like, I know there's wrestling in Toronto. Like, a lot of big wrestlers come from Toronto, but when you live downtown Toronto, you do not know about it.
Huh.
The whole time I lived downtown, from the time I was like 22 until I was like 31, I didn't even know there was independent wrestling happening. Like,
so do people do wrestlers in Toronto, or I guess even wrestling fans, do they just go across like to New York, or where are they going to get their wrestling needs?
I think back then when I lived downtown Toronto, they were having a hard time with getting like insurance licenses. Like, I think they needed some sort of boxing insurance license. So I think it was harder for them to have shows. If I remember, like if I'm remembering. But then when I moved to Montreal, it's as big as hockey. There's like 12 feds. Like, there's more feds than you can like even think about. Like, it's bananas. So when I moved to Montreal, I hooked up with a bunch of guys at Ubisoft and who were obsessed with going to indie wrestling, and it like all that stuff from when I was a kid just like exploded to the surface. Like, my first indie show, I was like 8 years old again. I was like, this is the greatest thing in the. I'll watch an indie show over any like major sort of like WWE thing any day. I'll go to like a crazy indie show and have the best time of my life.
Do you have Pluto TV? There's like an independent wrestling channel on Pluto TV.
Yeah. We got that. That.
Yeah. I watch that all the time. Like, it's like, all right, well, it's time to go to bed. Let's watch something until that's what I'm watching.
Love it. So, and then when I started wrestling and started getting on shows and stuff like that, then I just became obsessed with performing, and then this thing happened with Speedball, and taking it to the next level where I'm actually having a lot of fun wrestling and doing all this stuff, and it's badass. Like, I'm looking forward to come visiting you guys again.
I really hope so. Hopefully, you get over here, borders open up and all that stuff, get on down, hopefully to GalaxyCon. Would love to have you back there as an artist, and hopefully with FSCW and stuff like that. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go into our first of our two mini games. The first is called the Milo Beasley Show Frequently Asked Questions, where I ask you the same 5 questions that I asked to all my guests here on the Milo Beasley Show. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Question number 1. Who was your first celebrity crush?
Chitara from Thundercast.
Oh.
Easy. Yeah. It was a cartoon. That's I was like pretty young when I was like, I like it when they have those bumps.
Hey, it's paid off for you.
Yeah.
All right, question number 2. What is your guilty pleasure song?
My guilty pleasure song.
Yeah, what's a song that you absolutely love, despite maybe other people not caring too much, but you don't care?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot. I got some real bad ones. Like really terrible ones.
Let's hear them. Let's hear them.
If I hear CNC Music Factory, gonna make you sweat, I kind of like.
Yes.
It's awful, but I can't help it. That's one. You can't touch this, MC Hammer. Lose my shit. Yeah.
You gotta use MC Hammer as entrance music, man.
You can't touch this yet, totally.
I mean, it works.
Like, yeah.
It works at a couple levels, man.
Just so hype. He's dope on the floor and he's magic on the mic. Yeah, like the whole song. It's ridiculous. Like,
it can't be too hard to be able to license his likeness for your comic, right? It can't be too hard.
Are you kidding?
Need that.
You're kidding. It's probably real hard.
You need MC Hammer in space.
Him and Gene Simmons, like impossible. They want like all the money. They'd actually, you don't make a lot of money, but they'd be like, yeah, I want like 50 grand. Like, come on. I actually worked with Gene Simmons once, and that's the way he was. I was gonna make no money on the project because it was all going to Gene. I was like, you realize this is comics.
All right, so question number 3. If you had to, would you rather fight 1 horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
Oh man,
if your life depended on it.
I want to fight that horse-sized duck. I'm that kind of wrestler. If that guy's like really big, I'm always the guy that's like I want to fight that guy, the biggest guy. It never works out, but like it's always like I want to fight the biggest guy. Always.
I mean, that's the old saying, right? The bigger they are, the harder they fall.
Yeah, or sometimes like the harder I get squished.
There's that as well. I definitely don't miss, because I was always, obviously, you know me, I was always the small dude. Yeah. And I don't miss those days. I don't miss those days at all.
I took a few splashes from the top rope from guys that I don't think should be given them. Like, like you're 380, almost 400, like going top, like, hey, here we go, splash. I'm like, oh God, like, whoa, okay, fine. Dude,
where you're like, this is the finish because I'm making it the finish.
Yeah. We'll see if I live through this.
Question number 4. What is your favorite movie quote?
Oh, my favorite movie quote. That's so hard. I have so many. I think it's got to be "Welcome aboard, Michaels" from Lost Boys.
Okay, that's a good one. That's one that not a lot of people. Nobody's mentioned Lost Boys yet.
I'm into Lethal Studios. Like the first thing everyone says is "Welcome aboard, Michaels." Yeah, pretty much like every time.
Then that's definitely got to be your favorite quote. All right. Question number 5. This is a fill in the blank question.
Ooh.
I would be a millionaire if I had $1 every time.
I would be a millionaire if I had $1 every time someone cut me off on the road. This dude just cut me off viciously yesterday, and I just about like drove after him. But this little monster was with me, and I was like, probably a bad time to road rage. But
probably. Yeah. I have a 11-month-old now, so I've had to curtail the road rage a little bit. So it's tough.
It's me. When you live in Quebec, it happens all the time, and you're just,
really.
Oh yeah. Or I think it's just the French. Like if you ever go to Paris, it's just it's bananas.
Oh my Lord. Yes. It is. That was
yeah.
I don't know how I've been there several times, and I don't know how I've never been in an accident there.
Me either. I haven't either, but like I mean you just get cut off 5,000 times on the way anywhere.
It's insane. It is insane there. Like they are professional drivers there.
Yeah. And they're also professional at pissing me off. Same with here. Yeah. All
right. Which brings us to our second of our 2 games. This one is called the Milo Beasley Show top 5. Where I ask you a random question and you give me your top 5, no particular order. So we'll keep it easy.
Sure.
Top 5, no particular order, favorite comic book characters. Not yours, but comic book characters.
My favorite comic book characters, Judge Dredd, number 1. Judge Dredd, RoboCop. Who else do we do? I am in love with Thor. I've always been in love with Thor. Thor's my favorite Marvel character. DC, I used to be a Batman guy. Lost interest. I'm a Superman guy now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, somehow I switched to Superman. But my all-time favorite comic book characters are like Judge Dredd. Yep. And I gotta love Wolverine because he's Canadian.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true. There's not too many Canadian superheroes.
He's the only one we got. We have Alpha Flight, but no one.
It's true. I totally forgot about it. I think I got some Alpha Flight books over there. But they're
like
just
Canadian like comic fans that are like, yay, Alpha Flight. And then there's the other half of us that are like, this is just Wolverine.
So when you're born in Canada, do you automatically become a hockey fan?
Yeah, a lot of times, but like with the amount of stuff that I get into, like my head can only handle wrestling as a sport. Like I watch the playoffs. Yeah. So yeah, okay. Thank you. Sorry. I got
that's right. Yeah. The Stanley Cup was Tampa and Montreal.
Yeah, that's right. So you guys won. And
yeah, that's right. We won.
After we won.
But I'm just begging you, please don't take my Rays, man. I know, like they're talking about the Rays going to Montreal, splitting time there.
Yeah.
Don't do it, but I loved the Expos, but don't make it. It's just anybody else, man. Take any other team, but not mine.
This giant stadium doing nothing. There's like this huge stadium that looks like an alien spacecraft doing nothing. So I don't know. That's probably why they're doing it.
I guess. And we draw indie show numbers.
Yeah.
At Rays games. I don't know if you've ever seen. It's not good.
All fans here are bananas. Like they'll go crazy. Yeah.
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 So what do you have on your docket? Are you able to hit up any conventions anytime soon?
I do have one in England that I'm gonna go to.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, for Leeds. I was supposed to go to Dragon Con in Atlanta, but I couldn't get my vax stuff sorted fast enough. Hang on a sec, Milo. Mia, I'm talking. Oh my gosh, I'm talking over here. Come on. Go get your mama. Go get your mama and get $5. Go on. Go get $5. Anyway, go on. Sorry.
So you're supposed to go to Dragon Con. Son of a gun, man. That sucks.
Dragon Con, it got canceled, but like they do it up for me like whenever I want to go. So like next year we'll go.
Perfect.
Dragon's I love Dragon. It's super fun. And I haven't talked to my art dealer Paulo in a while, but he has a deal with your guy for Florida. So I'm sure I would go down to a bunch of those. So
would absolutely love to have you at GalaxyCon again.
Yeah.
Definitely love to get you down here in a ring, whether it's with FSCW or some other independent companies down here that we could definitely make a deal with, when you come down here. So
well, I might come a lot because I'm really good pals with Jimmy Palmiotti in Clearwater.
Jimmy's such a great guy. Yeah. He was one of the very first comic book artists that I had on my show.
Oh no.
He's such a great guy.
Yeah, he was best friends with one of my best friends who passed away, Darwin Cook. They were best buddies. So Jimmy's become like my sort of like guru / mentor since Cook left us. Right. And I want to come visit him. And then I think I'm it's pretty much out of the bag, but my trainer Speedball's coming to Florida. So right. Yeah. So I want to hang with him and hang out with Jimmy. And I got a few other friends. Tim Townsend lives down there. So I think I have like 8 or 9 friends that live in Florida right now. So I think I'm just going to come a lot.
Perfect.
Especially in the winter. because like the weather here is awful.
It's about let's see, it's July now, so it's about 112 degrees and rains every day.
Yeah, I'm gonna like wait a little and then like as soon as September hits, I want to come all the time. It'd be great.
It's September still 90 degrees and rains every other day, but October, November is where you want to be. October, November, that's when you want to be here.
In the snow times here, as long as I'm not here in the snow time.
I've only seen snow like a handful of times, and I'm good with it.
It's biblical here, like epic, biblical, freaking awful. Like, and I've lived in Canada my whole life. Hey, take it easy. Take it easy.
All right. So before we wrap up, where can folks find you on the social medias?
At andybelanger.com, lethalcomics.com, at Andy Belanger on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. And yeah, that's where you can find me. And I'm all over the place right now promoting the new Mother Trucker campaign.
That is awesome. I wish you the best of luck with Mother Trucker, and hopefully, again, get to see you down here soon. Hopefully,
come all the time. That's it. Coming all the time.
Absolutely.
That'd be amazing. Thanks, man.
All right, man. Well, have a good rest of the day. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you guys next week.